Chapter 107. Skillfully earning primeval stones. Ill-intent customers come to wreak havoc. The cold snow came to an end, and spring wind took its place. Without realizing it, winter had already passed, and the days of spring arrived. The frozen mountain creek began to flow again. The ice cones under the eaves of bamboo buildings and trees were sparkling and translucent, dripping water in the sunlight. In the morning, the wine tavern was quite empty, there were not many drinkers. Fan Yuan sat inside at the seat near the window. According to his request, the surrounding was covered by wooden plank screens, creating a small room for him. A gust of wind blew in from the window, and the fresh and fragrant smell of the earth was wedged between the air, letting people who smelled it feel carefree and pleased. Zhang Ya sat opposite Fan Yuan, his face full of smiles. "These are the primeval stones this time, please confirm it." He took out 4 money bags, placing them on the table and pushing it towards Fan Yuan. What was inside the money bag was naturally primeval stones. Fan Yuan did not open them one by one, but checked their weight by holding them in his hand. He had over 100 years of experience making deals and transactions, so he could easily tell the number of primeval stones in his hands. One less and he could immediately tell. This was nothing special, to be honest. On Earth, there was an oil seller who placed a coin on the bottleneck and dripped oil inside, where the oil dripped in a line and entered the bottle through the tiny hole without any spillage. There was another divine shooter who could shoot tree leaves at 100% accuracy from 100 meters away. There was also a butcher who worked for many years, using his hands to check the weight. He could tell their exact weight and when scaled, was exactly as he said. How to train such a skill? Nothing else but practice makes perfect. Accumulation of experience, when enough, can stir up a miracle. After his rebirth, this kind of experience was naturally brought over as well. Fan Yuan used his hand to check, and on finding no problems, he then took out a small cloth bag and gave it to Zhang Ya. Zhang Ya received it with both hands and opened the bag, checking the quantity carefully. Although Fan Yuan had 9 vitality leaves in his possession, he did not plan to sell it himself. If it was Gu Yudong too, he would rather do this to sustain his social relationships and increase his influence. But Fan Yuan was reluctant to do this. It wasted too much time and effort. Thus, he sold them all to Zhang Ya, who was a shop owner, so Zhang Ya could sell the rank 1 healing grass Gu to the clansmen. Zhang Ya is Zhang He's brother, and when Fan Yuan was searching for the liquor worm, they met before. His brother was even Fan Yuan's half-alliance mate, thus, having him take over the transaction and sell to the clan, was a reliable method. 1, 2, 3, 9. Indeed, it is 9 vitality leaves? Zhang Ya counted 3 times before closing the bag and carefully keeping the bag close to his body. Next, he raised his cup, toasting to Fan Yuan. "Lord Fan Yuan, happy doing business with you, let me toast you." His gaze towards Fan Yuan carried deep admiration, even turning into a hint of jealousy. A year ago, when it was also spring. The first time he met Fan Yuan, the latter was still a student at the academy, not even having the rights to wear the Gu Master's battle attire. But now, Fan Yuan was not only wearing battle attire, his belt was also red color, and a square steel piece in the center of the belt a rank 2 Gu Master. However, he himself was still a rank 1, carrying a green-colored belt. Never mind that, what made him jealous was, after getting the inheritance, Fan Yuan turned from a pauper into a tycoon. He owned the wine tavern, bamboo buildings as well as the 9-leaf vitality grass. It was all fortune that Zhang Ya would never be able to earn throughout his lifetime. But, Zhang Ya did not dare to show his deep emotion of jealousy. Fan Yuan sold the vitality leaves to him and allowed him to earn the difference in price. Fan Yuan is already his money tree, and Zhang Ya no longer dared to offend this junior. Sigh. Comparing among people is odious. Zhang Ya held the cup. His face was full of smiles, but in his heart, he was sighing deeply. Fan Yuan raised his cup and drank it in one shot. Zhang Ya's expression, although secretive, With Fan Yuan's old fox wits, how could he not tell? Fan Yuan did not put it to heart, for if Zhang Ya was not jealous, it showed that he had much greater heart, and that would make Fan Yuan think more highly of him. But, he stared at Fan Yuan's small fortune and got jealous. This showed how little his world was, insignificant. Drinking with him was solely because he still had some value to exploit. Zhang Ya put down the cup, excitedly saying, "The clan's vitality leaves are sold at 55 primeval stones apiece. I followed your instructions and only sold our grass goo at 50 primeval stones, and the demand is overwhelming. Lord, why don't you make more leaves daily, that way we can earn much more?" Fan Yuan listened and slowly shook his head, rejecting outright, "No, creating 9 leaves is already my limit, it is already wasting much of my cultivating time." This was the difference between Fan Yuan and a mere frog like Zhang Ya. In Fan Yuan's perspective, primeval stones were just a cultivating resource, a tool. It is all for his cultivating needs. However, Zhang Ya treated primeval stones as his life goal, thus he cultivates in order to earn more primeval stones. But even if Fan Yuan only made 9 leaves a day, he could earn 400 primeval stones daily, and with the accumulation, the fortune in his hands also grew to an amazing level. Seeing Fan Yuan's rejection, Zhang Ya did not dare to push his luck, only moving his lips in pity, then continuing to pour wine for Fan Yuan enthusiastically, and then for himself. "Indeed," he exclaimed, "Lord has such great fortune, you do not have to waste time and effort daily. In my opinion, why does Lord have to stay in that poor old rented flat? Why don't you empty out a bamboo building and stay there yourself? Then marrying a beautiful wife, and having 7 or 8 family servants to take care of you. That is truly the dream life." Hee hee. Fan Yuan laughed lightly, not saying anything. How could a farmer understand the ambitions of the conqueror? He turned around, looking outside the window. House after house, the bamboo roofs had remnant snow, bathing under the bright and beautiful light of spring. Far away was a willow tree, the branches of yellow-green soft leaves rolling down, gently swishing in the soft spring breeze. Fan Yuan's gaze was slightly blank as he thought about his current predicament. After solving the problem of Fangzhen, the family asset could be said to be in the bag. The white jade goo and moonglow goo were successfully refined, he now covered attack and defense. What came next was the liquor worm. But the liquor worm was troublesome. To refine the 4-flavor liquor worm, he needed a second liquor worm, as well as sweet, sour, bitter, and spicy 4 types of wine. These things, he had no idea where to get. "I definitely have to refine the liquor worm. Without it, my progress will be slower by at least half. But to refine the 4-flavor liquor worm, I will need to wait for the caravan and borrow that chance to showcase my white jade goo. That way, I can show off my true fighting strength and stop hiding my abilities." Fan Yuan had the moonglow goo and the white jade goo. Together with his 500 years of combat experience, he was stronger than most rank 2 goo masters. Slightly famous group leaders like Sickly Snake Chiao San, if fighting one-on-one with Fan Yuan, might not be his match. But against Qi Shan, Mo Yan, and Qing Shu, Fan Yuan was still weaker. One was insufficient cultivation level, Fan Yuan was only a rank 2 initial stage, but they were upper or even peak stage. Next was the lack of strong goo worms. Fan Yuan only had 2 battle goo worms, but they all had at least 3 and even hidden trump cards. Among the same age group, Fan Zhen, Mo Bei, and Qi Chen were already showing their dominance, no doubt. Especially Fan Zhen, now that he had obtained the rank 2 moon raiment, he already has the ability to fight with Fan Yuan. As time passes, his cultivation level will get higher and eventually he will leave Fan Yuan in the dust. Unless Fan Yuan can fuse the 4-flavor liquor worm and maintain the same cultivating speed as Fan Zhen. As for the higher ranks, those rank 3 or rank 4 goo masters. To Fan Yuan, battle results aside, even keeping his life is a difficult thing, not to mention challenging a higher rank. Transcending rank was very difficult. One was that Fan Yuan did not have trump cards, and 2 he does not have talent. Even with his rich fighting experience, a woman cannot cook without rice. Without a strong gu worm, his experience cannot display their worth. If I can successfully fuse the 4-flavor liquor worm, my cultivating speed will be satisfactory. But I also have to replenish my gu worms. Defense I have white jade gu, offense I have moonglow gu, healing I have 9-leaf vitality grass, but I need a movement type and recon type gu. These two, although are support types, they can cover up my weakness and at least triple-fold my fighting strength. Fan Yuan pondered. He did not need to learn step by step. With his rich life experience, he already knew the direction to take. Beside him, Janya's voice came, "I heard, recently someone is finding trouble with you, Lord. Purposely finding trouble at your bamboo building and wine tavern?" Fan Yuan frowned, his train of thoughts were broken. But Janya was right. Fan Yuan had investigated, this was his uncle Gu Yu Dongtu's act. After Gu Yu Qingshu warned his uncle, he did not dare to use Fang Zheng to instigate trouble anymore. But after waiting for a while, the indignance and anger in his heart rose, and using his relationships, he got a few Gu masters to find trouble at Fan Yuan's places. People who do business hate these kinds of problems. Thus, recently, he had been finding time to look after the locations. "Owner, someone is finding trouble again." At this time, a clerk carried a scared expression and walked towards Fan Yuan. "Oh." Fan Yuan's brows raised, not expecting to encounter this immediately. Not waiting for Fan Yuan to react, Janya stood up abruptly, eagerly saying, "Wait a moment, Lord, let me go see." He walked out of the partition and came back almost immediately. "It is Gu Yu Manshi." Janya's expression was pale, suppressing his voice. His gaze revealed shock and worry. "Gu Yu Manshi?" Fan Yuan did things carefully and knew the importance of information. During this period, he had gotten the information of all the rank 2 Gu masters in the clan, and memorized most of them. Gu Yu Manshi is a slightly famous Gu master, specializing in defense and having a great strength, being the Manshi group's leader. In terms of fame, he was higher than Jiao San by a little. Bam! Smashing sound came from outside. Thereafter, a coarse and arrogant voice resounded, "Blah, what sort of wine is this? Tastes like horse shit, you dare sell this to me?" Fan Yuan's gaze shone with cold light as he stood up.